Well, hi, and welcome to Geek Out on Glitch 2600. If you're new out there, say hi. We want to know you're out there. Mess around with some new stuff today and playing with the setup. So now we can do a little camera 1, camera 2 setup, camera 1. Okay, had to make sure I'm not muted. So now you can kind of see a little bit more of the setup. And then back to camera 2 or camera 1, whichever number it is. So welcome to our Geek Out, our Q&A time where you can ask all sorts of tech questions, geek questions, photography, videography, computers, computer science, security, heck, any type of geek question. If I don't know the answer, I will track it down for you and we'll bring it to the next show. So again, if you're out there, want to make sure you say hi. Otherwise, give you a little background on the channel. If you are new here, we do have our on Glitch 2600, our Glitch Bits and Bytes. Bits are those little, bit-sized 2-3 minute trainings on how to do certain things like turning on the airdrop on your phone or your laptop, different things and what settings you might want there. Where our bytes are more those in-depth trainings. So that's what we're going to cover. Right now we have some League of Legends ones out there. We have another one getting ready to go on YouTube. So that's where you can kind of see that. Sorry, throat today. That's where you can see those and interact and get more in-depth training. If there's something you want training on, just write us through our page. Go to Facebook or go to YouTube for Glitch 2600 and write us through the page. We're happy to try to create content for what you might be interested in. We can cover all sorts of different areas. I have probably a lot of geek toys. So hope everything's going well for everyone else out there. I've been doing a Lita challenge. So live every day in August. I haven't been doing it live on here. It's been a special group where we work on our presentation and getting over the fear of being online, all that, because I am a geek. Which means traditionally we aren't known for our social skills, but it is something we were always working on, and something I'm glad to say as I'm working through this, getting hopefully a little bit better. You guys might feel differently, but I'm hoping that I come off at least a little bit, personable. But, man, I like coffee. Coffee's great. So let's talk about news. There is some news out there. If no one has questions right now, I do have topics to talk on. But I did want to talk. It looks like Apple this week had a little bit of a snafu where they automated mistake by Apple kills all of a Mac developer's apps. In that the Downy video downloader had a small issue where one of their stuff and a set of their apps were set and automated and marked as spam or malware. And so because of that, it was taken completely offline, and it took almost 24 hours for that to come back. I'd like to say I'm somewhat surprised, but I'm not right now. If you don't know in the news, Apple, actually a few different ones, Apple and Facebook, Amazon, is it Facebook? There's a few of them that are in a antitrust lawsuit for, being a little monopolistic. Some stuff thinks that, some of the government also thinks that they've got a little bit too much power from a privacy and our data point of view. But with those things, we're seeing a little bit more probably rationing down by the companies. And you got to think there's billions and billions, or millions and billions of apps that probably pass through the App Store every day, whether you're Samsung Android or whether you're, an Apple user, Microsoft Store, any of those. There are just a lot of apps. The developers to create these, they got to go up and, who's going to sit there and be able to automate or manually look through all that code to make sure that there's not something bad in there. So they have to use a level of automation. And automation is created by humans. Humans have faults. We make mistakes. So unfortunately, this does kind of hurt that Downy downloaders, their reputation. And that is a sad thing. But I do think the benefits of having automated code review far outweigh the outcome that, it hurting in this case. Now, I will say I am a bigger advocate that they should maybe stock more of their customer service and probably turn around and reviewers for those false positives, for those if you're an Apple developer, you have to pay a certain amount of money to have access to that Apple developer certificates and network. So I think if you paid that, there should be a certain amount of people and a certain guaranteed review time. And maybe I'm missing something. I didn't see it before when I was doing stuff with it. So having said that, that would be my take on it. But, I'm going to check a couple things over here. Should bring my phone over to make sure everything's connecting. Say, not at all organized today. Sorry, with that Lita challenge, today we had to talk about, yesterday we had to talk about our hopes and dreams. Today we had to talk about what was possibly holding us back from those dreams. And you got to think, you start to get deep dive on these, and they're little tidbits. Some people, get the waterworks and all that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it does get you to think on it and all that. But the other thing is talking every day is just taking a little bit of a toll on the throat. And I need to probably get some lemon juice and all that to kind of work through that. I don't have anything sick or anything like that. Just was outside, have a little bit of allergies, and haven't drank enough water today. So, of course, I'm drinking coffee. But so that's some of the news that is out there. There was a couple other things. Obviously, some hackers found some security breaches in Office that now could lead to control of the Mac OS, but that's been patched. So make sure you update your Office if you're on a Mac. This happens a lot on Windows, so that's why I always say, or I'm a big advocate of making sure your software is patched. Sometimes something can get broke by those updates, so I'd like to sometimes wait a day or two, but don't wait a week or a month unless you see that there's problems. It's okay not to be the spring chicken to it, and or the early bird in this case, but make sure you do, update those apps, run those router updates, run those different ones. Your software is getting updates all the time. If you have a Ring doorbell, there's probably a software update. If you have Nest, or Ecobee for your thermostat, these are all devices and things on your network that should get updates, but make sure you remember your software. You probably just run that system update, whether you're on Mac or Windows, but you have other software like your Office and your browser. Most of the time your browsers have quite a bit of updates, and browsers integrate directly into the operating system, so they get quite a bit of power. In fact, that was one of the antitrust lawsuits a long time ago, is how integrated Internet Explorer was with the Microsoft OS, and how you couldn't take it out or overly replace it very easily. So they had to go around that, but they had integrated it at such a deep level that was a little bit of a problem for them. So that just kind of tells you how these programs might have a little bit more control, and what us security people always have to be careful of and check into and provide protections for. But I wanted to kind of show that. There was another one I saw. Canon got hit with a $10 million ransom attack. And so they were having some trouble. If you run the webcam software, I know they had a little bit of trouble, so make sure you update that. And there was another thing I saw earlier. So let me bring it up on here because I know I saw it. The FBI is issuing a warning over Windows 7 end of life. So you're at a greater risk of being hacked if you're running Windows 7. Don't get me wrong, I like Windows 7. Always did like Windows 7. It was a very stable operating system. The problem is there's not much for updates. Microsoft kind of ended that a while ago. It's been sunset. That means you're just not getting those security updates. Sometimes Microsoft goes a little extra and longer than normal on those to get, to let people get over. They don't understand people don't update very frequently or very often. So if you are on Windows 7, look into it. There's a good chance you still might be eligible for the Windows 10 free upgrade. If not, then it's something you might want to still think on. It's a Windows box. It's it's your core operating system. At some point, you do have to upgrade. I know it's a pain in the butt to learn new stuff, and they make enough changes just to kind of tick you off, move around where the control panel. The nice thing is you can still switch into classic mode. You can still type, Windows R and then type control panel, or just do the search and type control panel and get kind of close to that old control panel. So you don't, like for me, I don't like the new printer interface in Windows 10, but that way I can get a little bit closer to it, or to the old, way of doing that. So it is something you have to update. It's a piece of hardware, piece of equipment now. Keep it updated. Otherwise, you could be having your stuff breached. If you got ransomware and stuff on there, if you have things coming in and breaching into it, what all do you have on your computer? You probably have your tax information, your financials, important pictures that could be priceless to you. So not to play the scare tactic on there, because I'm not that type of security guy. But in this case, it is good to upgrade your operating systems. I run into a lot of people who go, yeah, I'm running Windows XP. how does anything even work for you anymore? I loved XP, but nothing, some browsers don't even install on there. And then some people are like, oh, I'm running Mac OS 10.7. Well, yes, you can. And I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Catalina. I like the next one back. But there is reasons to upgrade. I know sometimes software doesn't for it, but kind of figure that into your cost. If you started setting aside a certain amount of money knowing that your software has to upgrade, the upside is if you get a free upgrade, you've just set a little bit of fun money to the side. You can go buy a new toy, or you can go out and get a pizza and enjoy a nice dinner. You could do all sorts of stuff. So it doesn't hurt to have a software, hardware, rainy day fund. Think of it like a car now. You got to get a new computer every so many years. You got to get a new car pretty much every so many years. Lease or not. Your software is basically leased now. If you're an Adobe user, you're especially on a lease. I have Lightroom and Photoshop and basically lease those. In fact, I used Illustrator and I can't even get it for this OS as a straight install. I either have to use Affinity Designer, which I'm looking into, or I've got to pay their subscription model. So I got to build that into my ongoing software cost for home, which is something I'm used to on the corporate side. The other thing I'm super excited for, which I'm just going to hold it up because I didn't bring it through, is, let's see if it focuses. Let's try that. Oh, the Zoom PodTrack P4 Portable Multi-Track Podcast Recorder. It's a fun USB bridge for my sound. I've been using the Zoom H4n, which allows me to bridge in a certain number of mics. This lets me bring in 4. And yeah, it doesn't have the built-in microphone like my old Zoom does, but I have one microphone, another microphone over there. I have other microphones, so I don't necessarily need to do that. So I'm pretty excited on that. That's just me, though. And let's let you stare at the top of my head while I look down. But again, if you guys have questions out there, please feel free to ask. Or again, you could just say hi. You won't hurt my feelings saying hi. I mean, you could, I guess, by saying I don't like you, but let's hopefully not do that today. Let's not be that way. So I've had some questions. One of the questions that came into me was, hey, I've got a video recorder at my business. So it's a network video recorder, NVR. You at home probably see DVR as in digital video recorder, and NVR is the same type of thing. It's just for cameras and it records over a network. Nothing too crazy. It has a little hard drive in it or external and reads from there. And it has a monitor, and a lot of times it might have a keyboard, might have a mouse. Who knows? Wanted to know how to be space saving in their office and dual purpose that screen that they use for security, to be able to maybe hook up a computer. Well, having investigated before, there are many computers, what they call NUCs, NUKs, if I remember right, by Intel. There's little tiny computers. You can get a computer on a little USB stick now. But the nice thing about these NUCs, they're little, of course I don't have an example, but if I were to compare up size, this memory, it's not much bigger than stacking 2 of these on top of each other, which I have small hands. Yeah, you can see by my face. I have small hands. So these things aren't huge. They double up, maybe a little bit wider. And they have all the normal ports on the back. Sometimes a little less USB. But with that, you can hook up a very small computer in that space. Runs Windows. You can get a Mac one. There's Mac Minis that are just a little bit bigger. They're about yay big. They just cost more. But if you're running a business and different things, if it's just purely for running some Excel or stuff like that, you can put an iPad there. But there's these things called KVMs, keyboard, video, mouse. Because you might have thought keyboard, video, monitor. No, keyboard, video, mouse, switches. So what you do is it has multiple inputs on the back and then one output to your monitor. Actually, the way it works is there's one output to your monitor, and then it has multiple inputs from your other computer, and then an input for your actual keyboard and mouse, the one that's coming in. And then a USB normally off to your other devices to simulate the keyboard and video mouse signal, or keyboard and video and the mouse signal. There we go. I can't speak my words today. So the nice thing is you get one cable, like an HDMI or DVI cable coming off, and then normally has a little daisy chained USB on it, and you plug those two in, and your device has buttons on the front, or you can hit little things on your keyboard. It's normally escape. We use them for servers because can you imagine in a rack of servers? So you see those big racks on TV where it's all those lights, and you see them pull out and flip up, and there's one keyboard and one mouse and one screen. Can you imagine if each one of those had to have a monitor and a keyboard and mouse on every one of those computers? That'd be ridiculous. So you can use that same technology at home. They sell them. They're called a KVM switch. Now there's another bit of technology called Synology, where you can do this virtually. It can use software and sends the signal over your network. I'm the type that always likes a level of hardware when you're doing business. At home, it's not bad. And it is Synergy. But you can do that, and you can have multiple computers. You hook up your keyboard and your monitor and your mouse to one computer, and it becomes the server. So that's your desktop that's always on, and then your other computers become clients. And as the screen comes up, you can kind of just move across to all of them. Now, like I said, for this one for business, what's nice is there's buttons on the front, so they can go, I want to run my NVR. I can see that screen right now. But when I'm doing that all the time, that's great. Now I need to switch over to the other. Now, the nice thing is most NVRs also have their own interface, so they could just bring that video up inside, almost like a picture-in-picture, and some monitors are picture-in-picture or multiple input capable. But if you don't have a multiple input capable monitor, ones that have two HDMIs on the bottom, you hit a little button to toggle between on the monitor, then a KVM is a good solution, a good solid alternative solution. The other question that I had that came up that I was, helping them work through is another friend wrote me and asked, hey, I get all my texts from my friend or from everyone else, but my daughter's text keeps going and doesn't come through. Well, I can show you on the screen, but I don't want to bring up all my texts and show it that way. You can go into your text per person when you're on your phone. And where normally, if you were to swipe down from the top, you have your Do Not Disturb button, or you can go into your settings and turn on Do Not Disturb, which mutes everyone. If you go into your messages directly, so click your Messages app, click in to a person, and then across the top, you'll see their name. So if I were to come in here, we're going to do transformation challenge one, spam for it. If I were to click on their name up top, it'll drop down. You'll see a little info button. Maybe I can cut over here. Little info button. If I click that info button, there's the capability to hide alerts. You can do that per individual person on your list. If you had someone, or let's say you had a spam thing that you normally want to sign up for this and hear it, but it's just you've got something more important you're waiting on, and you don't need to come to your watch or anything like that. You can go in. If you have the Apple Watch, you can go in here and go, hey, mute this one spam one. I don't care right now. You can do it that way. You can, any number of individual people. If you just need a break from thing, you can just go mute this. I don't want to hear it. Which I'm not telling anyone to do that and be rude like that with other people. But if you had to, You're like, you know what? You on your watch, you could turn on movie mode. On your phone, you can turn on do not disturb, all of that. But if you have that one person, or you need to hide alerts from your boss, not hide alerts from your, but hide your boss's messages. Be like, I didn't get that. I'm sorry. Let me check my phone. Oh, it was a glitch in the phone. So you don't have to do work late at night as a tech. Not saying do that. And I would never do that. I'm always on call, it seems like. But I'm just saying that there are some ways and reasons that you might want to use that capability. In his case, it got turned on for his daughter. So if you're ever having trouble with messages and it's only one person, give that a shot. Go check in and make sure you didn't on accident mute that one person, before you go crazy on the phone. There's another thing where you can turn on forwarding, like if you're, and I covered that in a past episode, where on your laptop you could have, you can have your messages come through if you're on a Windows device, but you have to turn on that forwarding. So that's where those can get out of sync and making sure that they sync. But this is just for your actual phone, and if it goes to your watch. Android has the same thing. One of these days, I used to be an Android user. I'll have to get an Android again at some point, or just so I can show you guys where all that's at. But for the Apple device, you just click into the person, click the little caret next to their number inside of the messages, and then hit info, and then you can change that. And that's one of those. So that's how you hide individual alerts. And then another thing that just irritated me today. So, quite a few times, you guys have seen me switch to my handy dandy iDevice. So let me switch over. We'll bring up some notes here, because I've got some show notes. So I'm going to flip over to my iDevice. And I wanted to be able to, I should be able to draw on the screen. That's how it's supposed to work. I'm supposed to be able to click in, click that little to the far right, where it has the thing that looks like a little pencil, or in the far right-hand corner, you see that little yellow next to the one that looks like a camera. Should be able to click it and bring up my tablet to be able to draw. My problem was that I wasn't able to draw. And I found out if I come into my notes, or my settings for my notes, a little known thing down at the bottom is only draw with Apple Pencil. I mean, other than being able to access your notes from the lock screen, you might like that or not. Note backgrounds, you can change the color. Using your My iPad account to store things locally. Otherwise, your notes won't be affected. Other notes, so you can turn on the other. I like mine in the cloud, so I don't really care to have it confused by having two parts in there. And so I set my default account, and you can make a password required for these. So there's some cool things for your notes. But this only draw, watch what happens. If I turn that on, come back to my notes, take this and try to draw, which you can't see unless I cut over, let me flip back over here, which you can't see. So if I cut over, I'm going like this, trying to draw, and nothing's happening. And that's because of that option that was turned on. You can see it's just moving my mouse all around. It's not actually doing anything. Where if I come back here, turn off that only draw with Apple Pencil. Here comes the fun part. I can now draw, and I can hit back, but I can go, hi. I can switch over and change around to my pencil. I can hit in my eraser and erase it out. Any number of things here. Draw a dash line or selection. All sorts of things. Highlight this through. Change my colors. Fun stuff, I can do all of these things and more with the pencil there, only if that's unchecked. So that was irritating me. I don't know if you guys caught me on past shows. I forgot all about that because I used to have an Apple Pencil on here and I need to grab one again. But I got irritated. I went to draw something for you guys and wasn't able to because my finger was just, I was like, all right. But I went over to another app and that worked just fine. I went to my kid's drawing app and I was able to draw the house and all that with my finger. The other thing is, if you don't have an Apple Pencil, if you went a little bit cheaper, which nothing wrong with that, and got like the Wacom Bamboo one or the Crayola $49 version that doesn't have as much pressure sensitivity, but unless you're going to be an artist on there, which, I'm just drawing quick things, it's a good way to kind of get around that. If you went to draw on your notes, it wouldn't come through because it doesn't see it that way. So you got to go in there, turn off that only Apple Pencil. It's not going to just click on and automatically be a drawing. Like if you're worried, if my wrist hits it, it's not going to work that way. It doesn't work that way. So you can go in there, turn that off, and then you can draw by clicking that little down the lower right-hand corner like I showed. Or if you click once on there, the upper right-hand. One thing people might not also know, and I'll come right back to that. So once we have it, you can kind of see, not only can you do your pencil there in the kind of right hand above the delete, you can add a picture. Even cooler, there's a check boxes. You can add like a to-do list in here. Not everyone knows that. You can do something kind of like that in the Reminders app where you can have reminders and questions and stuff like that on there. Otherwise, you can come in here and do that. You can hit a table and you can make a little table in there and add things across. So that's another option you can do, which I think that's pretty cool personally. But that's just me, the geek in me, where you can make things a little bit nicer in here. And I like that. Maybe I'm a dork. Maybe I'm not. Probably am. But, see, I gotta get that. Camera 1, camera 2. If I really want to, we'll do an auto fade. Yeah, see, I have way too much fun with that. We could sit there and go have a little bit more fun. Just go. This is why I have to play with the toys. They're just too much fun to mess around with. But that kind of covers those 3 topics. I have more things that we could work on. I know we've been live for 33 minutes, so I don't want this to go too terribly long. Unless someone has questions out there for this Geek Out. If you have more questions or have questions on there, remember, you can put a Q, type it in there, and we'll see it and answer your questions live. If you don't want to be called out on the screen for it, you can still message us and just say, hey, keep this anonymous. And I'll say, hey, I got this message from someone. And then I'll answer it live on the air and I'll let you know and send you that answer because we love to help out. At the same time, if you know people who would benefit from free tech service, for the most part, has those tech questions, you got that mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, anyone who you don't want to have to answer those tech questions for, please feel free to share us and send this out. If you do like the content, then by all means, give a like, give a subscribe, click the subscribe button, click the follow link on Facebook, whichever one you think on there is good. Well, it looks like, hi mom. For anyone who's curious, that's my mom. She just landed in Des Moines. So you can kind of see my cool new setup for there. So I'm bringing in, messing with YouTube. But sorry about that. But again, if you have those friends that would be interested in technology, we're going to keep going live. If there's days and times that work better for you guys, I'm happy to shift some days. We're going to go live quite a bit right now. Like I said, I'm doing that Lita challenge. So we'll be getting that Apple Watch one up here really soon. I got challenged in the leader group to go, hey, you're going to have that done this week, for Monday. It's like, okay, I guess I'm making that bite and that info for Monday. So hopefully you'll be seeing some of that here shortly, and we'll be getting a little bit more content going and flowing through. But in the meantime, we'll still be having these live Q&As. That's the heart of the show. We love answering questions. I love helping you guys with those tech questions and getting them, a little bit farther on, getting that phobia of technology kind of out of the way. There's no stupid questions. The only stupid thing is to not ask your question. Why pay a tech for it right now? You save that money for when you really need a tech, when you need that help with the hardware, when you need that help to go a little bit farther. But for those little simple ones, or those to get you started and point you in the right direction, why pay more for that if you don't need to? I want to help you out. So if you know other people, please feel free to share. Otherwise, we'll be posting this up more. Let me know if the event way of doing that on Facebook was good for you guys. If you'd rather see this on a regular schedule, it's kind of hard with kids soccer, but we can try to hit certain days and times always the same, or maybe hit 2 days a week, whichever way. You just let us know, and we'll do what we can to help you guys out. Otherwise, thanks for joining, and keep your eye out for some more, and keep sending those questions in. All right, and then we'll talk more about the logo and cool stuff on the next one. So again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll talk to you guys.